Hello, everybody. It's the Crazy Uncle, where we break everything down to its base elements to figure out what's going on. Why do you take advice from the Crazy Uncle? Because only crazy uncles will tell you the truth straight to your face, and to hell with the consequences. Doesn't matter if it serves me, it matters if it helps you out. Now, today's subject, we're going to be going over degradation of the society and how things have gone completely off the rails. And it really comes down to two separate things: mentality or mindset versus the reality you live in, i.e., grow up in. Now, these are very important, and these are how everybody understands things. I put it as survival versus abundance, reality versus the mindset. So, looking through my notes, we're going to be going through how each generation have adjusted this. And by the end, you're going to figure out exactly what I'm talking about because I got two separate sections to go on, so let's begin. The generations in reality versus mindset. When you look at the silent generation, this is those who went through the Great Depression plus World War II. They had a survival mindset and a survival reality. Okay, this is important. They had survival the entire time, so they didn't have time for bullshit. They really didn't have time for any of it, which is why they kept the BS down to a minimum. Behind them was the boomers. Now, they had a survival mindset, but they had abundance of reality. The reason being is because that's when technology started to really open up to the general population. All you have to look at is now you had cars were very common, you had refrigerators were now common, indoor plumbing was completely common, color televisions even. This is when the technology started to change, okay? The mindset was still survival because that's the way their parents knew and that's the way they were brought up. Now, after the boomers, you had Generation X. Now, I'm far end, the back end of Generation X. Now, we had a survival mindset. However, we had a survival mindset not just because the way our parents brought us up, but now the reality of it, we did have abundance, but we also had a survival mindset because we were the latchkey generation. We were pretty much the first ones to have to deal with that, and that kind of sucked. However, we also grew up with the media having survival mindset. Things like Red Dawn. The first movie I remember was Jaws. Things like that. It's all survival mentality. But we had abundance. Now you move on to Generation Y, i.e., millennials, and they have not just an abundance in reality, but they have an abundance in mindset as well. Okay? And the reason for that is they also have a technological acceptance of things. They grew up with cell phones. They grew up where flip phones were switching over to the new other phone, which I don't have in front of me. And now we have the iPhone, which honestly sucks ass nuts, but we'll work about that later. But this was a technological acceptance. Now you have Generation Z, and they have not only an abundance mindset, but an overabundance in reality. The reason for that is there's just more choices. Technology has allowed things to go faster. Not to mention, we got so much stuff that's literally thrown in our faces that we don't have much of a choice. And that's why they say 500 channels and nothing on. Well, if you only have 3 channels, you have to choose one. It's pretty simple to eliminate the other 2 choices. However, now you have 5,000 channels plus how many streaming services plus all your ticky-ticky-tock-tocks and all this other bullshit, and you don't know what to watch. That's why there's nothing on. Now, the thing is, Generation Z, just like Generation X, is going through a technical revolution. We as Generation X, we grew up with analog and we moved into technical. They're moving in from technical and information age, which by the way started in 2001, to a robotic age. Or I should say automated age. This is absolutely horrifying for a lot of people because we worry of what's going to happen. Now, I will go over more of that in a separate video, what we can expect from the robotic revolution. However, that's not this video. Now, going through each of those generations was very important, but I want you all to remember this. The hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. We have gone through that whole thing from the survival reality and survival mindset, which was hard times and strong men, all the way down to abundance mindset and overabundance reality to weak men creating hard times. And women, you are not free of this either, but we'll get into that one later. This is not a men-women video. This is just the base reality video. But how do we get back from weak men creating hard times to strong men creating good times? Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to go through some shit. Okay, pure and simple, we're just going to have to go through some shit. We don't have a choice. The election's coming up soon. We'll see how it goes. I expect everything in the next week before the election, things are going to get kind of dicey. And then for the next month to 2 months, things are going to get really, really sporting. And then about 6 months after that, we can either expect things to get a whole lot worse or slowly get better. I'm hoping for slowly get better. But you know what they say, pray for the best, plan for the worst. So keep that in mind, okay? And this is why a lot of people are like, you know what, let's just get it over with. Somebody send the meteor already. We're not going to do that. So going back into my notes, I'm going to make sure I wind this up pretty quick. The question is, what would have saved us from the major hard time? The question we have to wonder is, why do we have to hit such a really bad hard time at once? The reality is because we have some self-righteous, head up the ass morons who think the status quo has to be maintained to make sure they get more money and more what they consider power. I put that in quotes. Another video I'll hit that, but let's just say their actual power is a line of bullshit. It's an illusion. It doesn't fucking matter. But because certain people held back certain technologies, stopped us from actually continuing as a species, growing technologically, that now all this stuff is coming to fruition very quickly compared to what it would be going, and we're having a lot of trouble dealing with the shift. Okay? We need to have the small difficulties, but since we didn't have them, we got the big one. I'll go over the small difficulties in another video. I seem to be getting close to going over time. I do hope this opened up your mind just a little bit, because that's what we crazy uncles do. You don't have to be an uncle to be a crazy uncle. A crazy uncle just means we're going to tell you the truth when you ask us the question, and it doesn't matter if it supports us or not. It doesn't matter if it helps us or not. It doesn't matter if it makes us any money or not. We don't care. We're just going to tell you the truth so that you are set up for success. And I want you all to be successful. Until then, this is your crazy uncle, punching out.